Hey, listen, everybody. That's my new intro phrase from Twitter. I forget who came up with that, but you know, it's from Navi. Today we're playing Fire Emblem Awakening, a new 3DS game, and it's coming out in a couple days, so you get a sneak peek at it. And I'm here with Richard George.
Hi.
Ryan Altano. Audrey Drake. And this is Super NVC.
That gets
like
me every
totally
time.
took
It's
that
the
from
Brap
you. I'm
Light.
sorry.
Every time
Rap
gets
and
me
Brap
every
Light.
time. I
Brap
love that.
Ultra, more like.
This is one of the coolest intro videos.
It's
ever.
awesome.
And I hope I can't remember. So we're playing Fire Emblem here live, quote unquote. Actually,
Yeah, it's
Audrey
actually
recorded
kept
earlier,
footage.
but
Yeah.
it should look really nice.
You guys should know that
Don't
this
tell
is
them
not
that.
my file. I would never play on normal casual.
Well, I just don't want to be able to be like, Audrey, move that way, and then she won't. But hopefully we'll get to see some cool gameplay first. I don't know how much of this intro is on here.
Yeah.
But Fire Emblem is, I believe, the 13th or 14th game in the Fire Emblem series.
There's been
Probably.
a lot of Fire
Which
Emblem
I never
games.
knew. Yeah, only a
Not-
few of them have come to
Yeah,
America.
only a
What,
few
like
of them have come to America. It's-
6th or 7th here, probably.
Is this counting
Something
all
like
the
that.
yeah,
Smash
something
Brothers,
like
too?
that.
No, it's not.
It's actually a prominent
on
franchise in
Nintendo,
Japan.
Super Nintendo.
They just
It's very
they
popular.
don't do. I mean, they do okay over here, but not all of them have come.
Yeah, I'm sure a bunch of people out there have played a Fire Emblem game because there was a popular one on GBA, which
Sacred
is free
Stones.
now if
Yeah, if you were
you're
a
an
3DS
ambassador.
ambassador, you got Sacred Stones for free, and that game's awesome. So you should
Yeah,
play it.
and some
Free.
some probably more hardcore people have been following the series on Wii and GameCube, right?
And if you played Shadow Dragon on the DS, then you know all about Marth, who plays a prominent role in this game.
Yeah, and Martha's also a character in Smash Brothers
Yes.
in
yeah, more.
Melee, right?
He's in Brawl too.
He's in
Yep.
Brawl also. Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I hadn't played most of a Fire Emblem game before, and I was a little skeptical. Well, I was totally skeptical. I didn't care about this game at all. I started playing it to write about it a bit for the wiki, and I gave a copy to a couple of the people to just play, and everybody's loved it.
Oh yeah,
Like
it's
everybody, and
incredible.
I think it's just
Well, it's-
absolutely
The amazing
fantastic.
thing
It's
about-
Let's
so
talk about
good.
the review, yeah?
yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
obviously my reviews on the site, I gave it a 9.6, and
That's
for-
Audrey talking, by the way.
Yeah.
Not Brian.
No, I know it's hard
He
to
didn't
tell us
review this
apart
game.
with the Braps, but anyway. The amazing thing about this game, and I've been a Fire Emblem fan for a long time, but this is the first game that I've played that is something that anyone can jump right into. If you're a strategy RPG fan, if you've never touched these games, or if you just... It's
Well, you
easy
can
to
jump into it because there's tutorials and stuff. But
There's amazing
but
tutorials.
I
you
think
can
right
cuss-
away though, it is for me as a new player. It was like a wall of like organization and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But now that I'm on top of it, I learned it thanks to the game. The
yeah,
game
the
taught
great
me how to
thing
play
is you
it.
can the tutorials are incredible. They're seamless, and you can turn them off if you don't want to listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
And the customization is really why anyone can get into this game. You can choose to play on casual or classic mode, and that means basically you're playing on classic. If your guy's
This
dead,
is crucial.
they stay dead. Like there's no, it's like real life.
Yeah.
They
So
don't come back.
as you this is a turn.
Oh.
Let's just
Yeah.
start at basics here.
Classic life.
I'm
I
glad
just
I'm on
learned
this podcast.
something. but you can play on casual mode, and that means that your guys, if they do die in battle, they come back right after. So for people who just need to speed through the game, like I did when I was capturing,
Mm-hmm.
or who are just not very good or very
Otherwise, you're going to be resetting your game a lot.
Yeah, otherwise
because
you'll be
in this
resetting.
game, you play you go from battle scene to battle scene, and basically you're moving units and attacking little units. I mean, it's just a management game, right? There's no like
it's like
action.
a strategy
Strat
RPG. You've got the
RPG.
grid-based map, and you
Like
move your troops
I guess it would be
around.
like Final Fantasy Tactics, or like there's a long history of these types of
I mean,
games. So if
Yeah.
you've played any of those games, it's that type of game.
It has a lot of...
But your characters die.
Similarities with Advance Wars, except it
Advance
just has
Wars,
a
yeah.
lot more statistics and just sort of depth in terms of the game, combat and sort of inventory management.
And
yeah,
there's,
it's
like,
from Intelligent
equipment and
Systems, the
stuff like
same people who
Same
made
guys,
Advance
yeah.
Wars. And so, yeah, it's got the traditional move your guys around the map, but also has things like weapons. You have to build up weapon proficiency. You have to make sure your weapons are in top shape or they could break in battle. And one
I
cool
hate
thing
that.
is...
It drives me crazy. Like, my axe,
gives
my
you something to
awesome
spend your
axe.
money on. But anyway,
Yeah,
you
that's
also have to take care about who you put next to each other on the map, because that informs how their relationships build, and that can affect...
Audrey's
the
obsessed with this.
I
Do
love
they
this
do
game.
they fall in love?
They
They
do.
can, actually.
do.
Really?
They can
Yeah.
fall
They
in
do.
love, get married, and have babies, and you can recruit the babies.
On the battlefield?
Yeah.
Yes.
Dude,
Your
you can
babies
have
will
an
battle
army
for
of
you.
Battlefield babies?
Battlefield
Battlefield
babies.
That's so dangerous.
That's the new franchise.
I'd be like, don't
Yeah,
shoot me. I'm
that's a
delivering a
spin-off.
baby boy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just really cool. There's
So what do
much
you
depth to
recommend,
this.
casual or classic? For someone like me, for baby's first Fire
Just
Emblem
play
game.
classic.
If you're
'cause it-
babies, well, honestly, it depends.
It's
If
no,
you
it's
really-
important to keep your characters alive because like you need like if you're just like gonna barrel through the game, like you don't.
Well, the thing about classic mode is
I
that
think
Also,
it's
keep in
a
mind
cool
that-
pressure to have on you to like
Keep in mind,
them
I
alive.
can't deal well with emotional loss.
Okay.
yeah. Well, Brian, the thing about
That's the main.
Yeah, if you want to get the traditional Fire Emblem experience, you should play it on Classic because, I mean, it just adds more weight to each character's death. Like, if someone dies, their part in the story is over. You never get to see what happens to it. And
Oh my god.
like, it sounds terrifying, but it actually, when you're in battle, like, it makes you really think about how you're positioning everyone. And if someone dies, you get so upset because
Do you ever like hit reset at the last minute just to save someone?
I reset every time that happens. I don't let
literally
people
back
die.
out to the menu and close
Oh, really?
down.
I never let anyone die in Fire
If
Emblem.
I had one complaint
Yeah.
about the game, it's that there's no easy way to like quickly reset.
You have to exit out of the game.
When you have to
They don't
literally
account for
exit out to
everyone
the
being
menu.
as crazy as we are, but
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean that's the classic experience. But honestly, if you're trying to sort of ease yourself into the strategy RPG franchise or even Fire Emblem in general, there's nothing wrong with playing on casual, just so you can get into the story and get into the
So
just
let,
ease yourself into it, and then you can go back and play on.
let me give you
classic
two other
and
tips.
Hardcore.
One is that you can turn off the battle animations, which is a really crucial thing because they take forever, and then it's just little pixel people fighting each other, and it's a lot more like aesthetically cool, I think, and fun to watch.
Well, another
But
thing
here's
is if you don't want to turn off battle animations because you want to watch them sometimes because they are really cool looking, you can also press a button to just speed through them or just
Hold
press
down
start
A.
to
Yeah.
skip them all.
And that was my other point is that you can press start to skip any cutscene in the game, and like I am following a little bit, but it's like a little bit like Game of Thronesy, and there's a lot going on. I just started skipping everything.
I want to stop to make a comment about this cutscene here. It's really cool in this opening scene that it's from the first-person perspective because
And this is just the top screen of the 3DS, by the way. It looks great.
Obviously, you create your little avatar for the game, so this is just a cool way to throw you right into the story and feel like you're really there without them not having anyone to show because they don't
Yeah.
have artwork
I mean,
for each avatar.
the presentation and versatility and flexibility of the game is pretty incredible. Like you guys are saying, there's so many options that allow you to kind of customize it to however you want. So if you're like Sam and you kind of want to just like, let's get this battle over with. I want to
Exactly.
see what the next thing is. Let's do the next thing. Don't really care about the story. I want to fight. Like I
Exactly.
want to do the strat.
I mean, you can even skip cutscenes the very first time you
Yeah.
see them, which is
Yeah.
like in old Fire Emblem games. Anyone who's played the franchise knows sometimes, like when you have to restart to do a battle because
Yeah.
someone died, you have
like,
to watch
sitting there.
that thing over again, and it can get
Yeah.
frustrating.
And
This
I mean-
game looks amazing, by the way.
Well, here's
Just-
the
It's
thing.
gorgeous. The cool thing is like
Can you believe this is the top
there's
screen
such
of the
very
3DS?
visual
not at all.
styles
So cool looking.
in this game. Like you have the sort of anime-inspired cutscenes here. There are also CG scenes where they move around with their little
Yeah. There's
CG
three different ways
models,
people are
there's
drawn.
sprites,
There's like
like-
drawn, hand-drawn sprites,
It
Right.
keeps
and then the
everything
CG
really
models.
fresh, and it just is gorgeous. Obviously, we're looking at it stretched and not in 3D, but this game is beautiful. Later, you'll get to places where there are like snow and sound effects, and it's just a beautiful game.
The only weird, it's kind of weird. It's just more of like their design detail, but they decided to not really give the characters feet,
I
which is
saw
sort of strange.
people
They're all
freaking
sort
out
of,
about
they're all sort
that.
of like on their tiptoes, which is sort of weird. So you just imagine like this fantasy Game of Thrones
It's like-
ballerina, like
it's
Someone
like-
asked me why I didn't
You're fine.
take
Have you
off
guys
for
seen
the
the,
feet. It's like
The DS version of
That's
Final
the point
Fantasy
four.
3
No.
looks like that.
It's
It's
not.
the same
They're like
art
those standing
style.
on
It's
little,
some.
like,
It's
pegs.
like some Japanese art
Yeah,
style
yeah.
that you see.
yeah.
But what's really cool though is that like Sam, you like to skip sort of the story stuff and just kind of get into the actual gameplay. But the presentation and the story in this game are actually really, really, really good. Like
Yeah,
it's
for sure.
not something.
The localization's really good.
The
So
localization's
good,
amazing.
yeah.
They really preserve each character's personality.
Although I was
and
just
the
playing
humor.
a character who like kind of looks like a pedophile, and he was like, "I really like inappropriate touching." That's like one of the lines he says, and it's really
Wow.
creepy. And I was like, "Wow, I can't believe
Did you
that
say
got through."
pedophile?
Yeah.
That's a weird pronunciation on that
People who
word.
like
Pedophile?
pedos too much.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go on that one.
Alright,
They-
pedo.
Not like I'm an expert on
They're
this
Pedo
stuff.
bear.
protecting
Thanks for
animals,
correcting
I
me,
think,
Brian.
right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, I think what's interesting though is that I've probably got, I don't know, 20-something characters sort of in my arsenal, and for the most part, they're all kind of unique.
Yeah,
Well, the
they are.
thing is,
There are a couple overlaps because I've street passed, and when you street pass, characters, new types of sort of battle parties will show up on your map, and you can just fight them as sort of like just improvised
This
battles
is-
in the midst
The
of
cool
the
thing is
story.
that all the characters are so robust that you get to a
Yeah.
point where you're like, oh god, how do I choose my units to go into battle? Because
Yeah.
you have to exclude.
Yeah,
some
and you want people to
and
level
it gets
up.
hard.
So to segue into that, this is the best Street Pass game that's out. And
It's brilliant
I,
what they
I
did
think
with
this
Street
is the
Pass.
best use of Street Pass. So when I Street Pass with Audrey, her main character comes into my game, and I can talk to that main character just on the map screen, and I can either buy that main character to be in my game. So I have like two main level type characters with her level and everything.
Yeah.
Like that's a huge asset for my team.
Sure.
Or I can fight her and get her for free. And so when I fight her, she also has a team that I fight. It's like her people.
Yeah,
and it's like
you
copies of
choose-
my people
you
essentially.
choose which of your team members you want to send out
Yeah.
for Street Pass.
Yeah.
So
Now,
you pick your favorite.
it sounds crazy because what if her level is 30 and mine is 10? Well, the good thing is that her characters are controlled by the computer for one thing, and I think based on the hard normal levels that I've set my game at, and like her characters were really hard when I fought them in the game, but I was able to beat them because they're not run by her.
Exactly,
And like
yeah.
I know how to like exploit my own character's weaknesses,
Yeah,
which she
yeah.
had a lot of. So it
Exactly.
was really cool.
But yeah, it's a really, really clever use of Street Pass.
I just want to say, like, if Pokemon does not do this sort of approach, I will flip
I
out.
can't
Like,
imagine
this
that
has
they
to be
wouldn't
what
use
Pokemon
Street
How,
Pass
does.
how would
Spot
Pokemon
Pass.
do it?
Same
Street Pass
idea.
teams.
You set a team of like your Pokemon, your 6, and then when I Street Pass with you, maybe I can battle you. You know, I meet you in the world and then I battle you. I mean, like that would be incredible.
I doubt they would have you get Pokemon that way. But
That's
you, could
true.
get
Probably
a,
not.
you could get a cool item or something.
Items or
Oh,
something.
I see. Yeah,
or-
yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I
That'd
was
be
just
cool.
hung up because I really like getting her character. Like I think
Yeah.
that's so cool.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's
it's
really cool.
amazing because every time I turn on the game or I exit a story battle, there's always stuff to do. So not only are there character relationships to manage and sort of engage in and sort of see what's going on there, and then that's actually based on how you battle and what you're doing during the battle. But then all of a sudden, you know, Sam's crew might show up or Audrey's crew might show up, and they're just, you know, milling around and they're somewhere, and you can fight them. Plus, there's roaming enemies on the map that just
Yeah,
show up
yeah.
in old towns that
Or you can
you've
buy a
already
Reeking Box to summon enemies to the field to just have
Plus-
someone to level up on.
Plus shopping, plus DLC.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like-
DLC. I mean, for the first couple of months, they're gonna have a new map every week for DLC. The first one's free, and you can get Marth. We're gonna have a video of that up today.
Yeah.
And Marth from the original game. the
We were just
original
talking about that
hero.
before the podcast.
Yeah,
so
is
it
it-
is the old school.
Is it classic Marth?
It's
or-
classic
Okay.
Marth
That's
that,
cool.
that you get in this DLC, and
Yeah.
it's cool because I just captured that. That there are lots of other classic Fire Emblem heroes in that battle that you have to get Marth. Like there's Ike, there's
wow.
Erica, Frame's sister from Sacred Stones. It's just
That's cool.
really amazing for people who have been following this franchise to
Like,
see all these characters return.
I think the one thing I would emphasize is like, so I had played Fire Emblem before, not aggressively, not all of them, but I had played it before, and I thought it was good. But I was sort of like, Fire Emblem, okay, fine. And when it was coming out for 3DS, I was like, okay, cool, whatever.
Yeah.
This is on a much different level. I know it's a strat RPG, and that's not always to some people's taste, but like this. For this franchise, ought to be recognized at least as like, say, maybe what Final Fantasy VII was for the Final Fantasy series, not
yeah.
in terms of historical game context, because FF7 was sort of a much bigger moment.
Yeah, yeah.
But for this franchise, this is that big of a
What's the
step
thing?
for this franchise.
If you're ever going to get into strategy RPGs or a Fire Emblem in general, this is the game to do it.
Yeah.
Because it's so fluid, it's so seamless,
Yeah.
it's so customizable. The characters are great, the story takes chances. Like this is the one to do it.
Yeah.
You know
It's
what's
really
cool?
monumental for the
One
It's
thing.
portable
also just
system.
incredible for the 3DS itself. Like,
Exactly.
a really
Yeah.
good 3DS game.
One thing I noticed about like characters specifically, which I think is, it's a progressive idea that the at least half the characters are like women warriors, and it's just like so
Some
unusual.
really, really
they're not
strong
like they're
female
sissy girls, which
personalities.
are lame, but then there's like like the Japanese like trope ones. Like all I can do is dance.
Yeah, there's like the healers
But
and the dancers.
there's
Yeah,
like there's
yeah.
like several knights that you have that are just the women. Like the
Yeah.
women on my team are like generally the more aggressive, powerful
I have-
characters. Like that's
Yeah.
thank you for
Well,
breaking
I mean, look
those
at Flavia.
stereotypes.
She runs that whole area.
Yeah, exactly. There's
Yeah.
there's a side character in the game that's like one of the so there's essentially two main characters, and if you play one of them as a girl, then you have a girl and a guy there
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought like thanks Japan,
They're-
you're coming
really
around
cool,
on
yeah.
stuff
Some of
like
them,
that.
my best characters are female.
Yeah,
Like, I
that's
have
cool.
this really,
But
really
the point
powerful
is not that
mage.
you're best, and not that they're
Yeah, not
like
that it
necessarily good
matters,
characters.
but-
Cool that
No,
there's
my
good
point is
mage.
that like
Interesting.
they're not dressed in bikinis. That they're
Yeah,
like
that too.
they're
No,
the same
they're real
warrior class as
people,
the
and
men.
they really contribute
They're
to the
just women,
battle.
and they
Yeah.
don't like fall in love inappropriately and stuff.
There's
It's just like
a-
it's just
there's
normal women acting like warriors. It's cool.
Yeah.
I have one pair of characters. They got married, and the female, like the male's going off to battle, and the female's like hell if you think you're going out there and I'm not going out there.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
sort of stuff's kind of
That's
cool.
really
It's
cool.
just cool. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see what else. So
cool
Brian,
thing-
have you played this at all yet?
Nope.
Okay.
He's
you
gonna
want to
download
now?
on Sunday.
Yeah, I want to now.
Yeah,
Now
it's
it
out,
looks great.
It's out
Awesome.
Monday.
It eats
It
time.
comes out Monday.
does.
And like Rich
I would
and
just
I
go
were
home and
talking
I'd
about
play it
this.
for 3 hours.
One of the cool things about the story too is like when it first starts out, you may think it's going to be it's a traditional anime tale or whatever, but as it progresses, the story takes chances. It'll take you by surprise.
Yeah,
you
some good stuff.
Not
in
me,
there.
because I skip everything.
yeah, but I mean, it's really amazing how much the story can make you feel because
Yeah.
you get so attached to the characters that when something happens, it's
Yeah.
just remarkable.
And that's not counting the impact
much-
that your own choices have. Like
Exactly,
you
yeah.
might, a character might die, and you'll be like, "Oh, that sucks." Like
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
obsessive, and I'll restart the game. But if you're not as obsessive as I am, suddenly people will die, and you will not have them
Yeah.
anymore. And it's more than just gameplay implications. Like characters have relationships. Characters can
Characters
develop
have a
together.
relationship with each other. If someone dies, you know the others
That
are going to mourn
person's
for
not
them.
there anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you can have like 30 characters or something, and they're all unique.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that's cool about the game too. Like it has this collector mentality, like Pokemon. So
Yeah,
that's
it
what
does.
keeps me
Yeah.
playing. And so when I go into like a side quest battle, it gives you an option. You can either like mow down everybody, or you can put one of your characters, only one of them, next to like a person on that map
Yeah, pair
that's
'em.
called out, and you can recruit that person.
You have to talk
But
to
it's
them.
hard
Yeah.
to get near them and get to them
Yes.
sometimes.
Well, the interesting
Sometimes
thing,
it's like an ass-kicking character, and it's like, how am I going to get over there without that character killing all my characters?
the interesting thing
It's
is
cool.
you
That's
have to
cool.
keep that character alive to recruit
Yeah,
them
you have
too.
to keep
so
them all,
like
you have to be nice to them until you get
you
right
have
next
to make
to
sure
them.
that they don't try and attack someone with strike back, and then boom, they're dead. You don't ever get to recruit
No,
them.
it's a great
So,
mechanic,
great
and it means that
strategy.
to build out your stable of warriors, you have to be like really careful about your tactics, and I think that's really cool.
It sounds weird to liken this because we keep talking about classic and casual, and some people might be like, "Well, what's for me?" and whatnot.
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
the best way I can compare it to is like chess and checkers. If you like checkers and you're totally cool with just playing checkers, you can do that.
That's
standard
so
game-
insulting, Rich.
No, but that's cool. Like, hey, if you want to play checkers, cool. But the game is sort of meant to be played as chess.
I mean,
and it's
that's
much
what
more
it is.
complicated.
It's
I'm a
like
mousetrap
very
guy myself.
involved,
Shoots and
complex game
ladders.
of
Yeah,
chess.
it's just letters.
But I mean, that's the thing too. Is
That's a
that, like,
sexy game.
Is
there-
it?
Shoots and
Maybe
ladders.
play casual.
there are a
think
lot
so.
of statistics.
I think it's metaphorical.
All right then.
There are a lot of statistics in this game too. You know, just
Mm-hmm.
lots of details: strength, attack ratings, defense, resistance, all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But you can actually simplify all that to just get a raw score.
Yeah.
To just have a very basic understanding of, oh, is this character really good or not so good in just one number?
Yeah.
And I like that too.
And that's another thing. The game uses the touchscreen really well. Like that's something that the DS has been out, the 3DS for so long that you're sort of
I
like,
haven't even used the
touchscreen,
touchscreen.
whatever.
I didn't even know you could use
It's
it.
really cool. So you can either have the map displayed on the bottom, and there you can see all
Oh, I
the
see, but you're touching.
You can see
Well, I
all
see
the
what
no,
you're
no, I'll
saying.
get to
No,
that in a
there's more.
second.
Okay,
So
there's
you get
more.
all the troops that are active and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Or you can press the full button. You can see all the characters. You can have it full. You can have it condensed. You can see all of their stats. You can see what weapons they have equipped, and you can see everything that before you just sort of had to guess or
Here's-
remember at. And if you click on something,
Yeah.
like say you click on the Falcon, you see a description of it. You see what it does. So just at the touch of the touchscreen, you can
I didn't
see
even know
what
that.
your items do, what your weapons
Even
do.
better,
Learn
what I
something
love
new every time I
is
talk
that,
about
How
like,
worn down they are.
I was staring at this stat and it was resistance, and and like every RPG slightly, will treat some of these things slightly differently.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell is that? Yeah, what does that
Like,
number
what's
mean? I don't-
speed versus
So I
movement?
click on it and it tells you exactly what it is and what it means and what it does and what it affects. And I was like, thank you, because you get items that'll be like raises your luck by 2, and you're like, I don't know what that means.
Exactly.
And it
yeah.
will tell you. I mean, luck is actually funny because they don't really tell you what it means, but everything else they will. It's really well thought
It's
out.
really handy. 'Cause
Really intuitive.
Before you had to just sort of look it up online or remember it or
Yeah.
find the guide. But
or,
now,
or the instruction manual.
yeah, but it's just
RIP.
It's just right there though.
Yeah.
It's really neat.
So if you are going to come by the IGN offices for First Friday, which is happening today by what actually by total coincidence, but it's a thing where you can come by and see the office and eat pizza with us and ask us questions. If you're going to do that, get Fire Emblem so you can street pass with us.
Yeah,
Because I'd like to
then you can have all
my
of us on your team. If you
It
want.
is. I mean, I don't think we've said this unless my brain is just melted. But it is the best game on 3DS since Super Mario 3D Land, and second to
Wow,
Super
that's-
Mario 3D
It's
Land.
absolutely, yeah.
Like,
if
and
you
those are radically different.
Push
and like
Pushmo,
this,
though.
this is the
Guys,
kind of
Pushmo.
thing.
Pushmo 2.
Yeah, like if you own a 3DS, regardless of how you feel about strategy RPGs, you really need to play this game. You need to at least try it because it's
Try the demo. Every
All right,
single,
you guys all buy the damn game.
Brian.
Jesus, you had me a half an hour ago.
Every person that has
Get out
played-
of the room.
on Twitter,
get the
every
game.
person that's played the demo has been like, I'm buying this.
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
So.
Well, it's funny. I've gotten
shot.
tons of tweets or comments on my IGN wall about people who are like, you know what?
How much did Nintendo pay you to play
Well,
this?
that too, but I've never played a Fire Emblem game. It never spoke to me, but I played the demo, I read your review, and now I'm really excited for
Yeah.
this. Like, this is
It is well
This is
worth
why
it.
they
monumental
shouldn't
step
let
for
a a girl
franchise.
review a game.
Yeah, I've
Well,
gotten
here's the
that
thing.
for sure.
Like,
I'm sure you have.
it is. It is
You've really gotten that?
Really, on Operation
Oh,
Raccoon
yeah.
City, they're like, why did they let the girl review a horror game? They get so scared so easily. True
you
story.
would be surprised at the kind of crap that shows
Oh, it's
up
terrible.
in her comments.
You know,
It's amazing.
Stephanie Lee was on Beyond the other day, and one of the comments that had gotten like voted around up and down was
Yeah.
like, it was like, minute 35. This is why girls aren't funny.
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
Oh my
Wow.
God.
Who knows?
What kind of person? I just
Incredible.
don't know. I don't know how
I
this
saw
happens.
when
2013 people.
Audrey
come on.
wrote
I wish I could
her,
comment on that guy and say, life entirety, this is why you're alone.
Yeah.
Well, it's when
so
when
crazy.
Audrey wrote her Virtual Console article, there was just some tremendous, honestly, bullshit on there, and I was like, I couldn't believe it. Like I like went and alerted the mods. I'm like, go kill some people
Yeah.
or something.
Especially something like that that's so opinion.
It's not an earthquake.
Like the whole floor
Well,
started
okay.
shaking. I
It's
was like,
actually the
"What's going
pizza
on?"
table being moved
Oh,
into
that's
position
what
for
it
the.
That is perfect. We're gonna
first
walk out of the
Friday.
podcast and get pizza and leave.
Yes, this
That
day's
is
coming
how-
together.
That is how this should be always. So we're at about 20 minutes. Any final thoughts on Fire Emblem? And I guess we can move on, right?
I heard it's good.
Read,
Yeah.
read my
Nope.
review, please. Don't just watch the video
And if you're an
review.
ambassador, you got a prequel to play, which is cool.
Yeah, but
Although
it's-
none of the stories are related, right?
No, none of the stories are related, but
That's kind of cool about the series, though.
No,
None of the
for the most
none
part,
of
none of
them
the
are
stories are related. But if you do play the past ones, play Sacred Stones. Especially go back and play Shadow Dragon. You're gonna want to play that after you play this.
What is Shadow Dragon?
It's a remake of the first game for DS, the very first
Oh,
game
it's
of
on
the series.
just regular
That's
DS?
where Marth came from.
Okay.
But yeah,
All right, and I think that was an old NES game, actually, right?
yeah, it goes way back.
Yeah, the NES one is funny to look at now. It's crazy they were doing the same stuff on the NES. So, another point of business, something really cool that we have here in the podcast room with us today. The giant Zelda book, Hyrule Historia, has come out here. It's better than the Japanese edition that came out.
It's
Because
in English.
you can read it now.
It's in English. It's big.
Not
it's
only
shiny.
that, but it's a nice hardcover, and it's just there's so much stuff in it.
I mean,
It's really crazy how much stuff is
Yeah,
in
if you
this
want to
book.
take a look at it, we did a Nintendo Nation on it where we sort of flip through it and go watch that.
yeah, the one thing I really like about it is they expanded just the page, just the page size.
Yeah.
The
That's
Japanese
big.
version's a little smaller.
There's a preface by Miyamoto
a
now.
lot of it's Skyward Sword concept art,
Mm-hmm.
but it's really the second half that's just awesome because the second half is like an old school Zelda mock-up art. There's like the hand drawn, like this is the plan for the original Zelda
There's
dungeon.
the
Like that
timeline,
alone, that
which
sold
we
me
all
on the
went
book.
crazy
Me too.
about
And there's
non-English.
not a lot of that stuff in there, but the stuff that's in
Yeah, I
there
wish
is
it was
great.
just that.
You
but-
even see even just looking at the Skyward Sword section, there's just little notes where they're talking about like this part of the bird is fur and this part is the feathers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when it comes to Fi, they like detailed like this part of her represents this part of the sword and this
Yeah,
part
yeah.
is this part, and you're just sitting there going like, you guys don't need to plan it out that much.
Yeah.
It'll be okay. There's also a whole, so there's the huge Skyward Sword segment. There's a segment looking at all the past games. There's also this, probably about a fourth of it, just looking at all of the history of the games, not only establishing for once the
timeline, which is finally in English and finally
And there's an
understandable.
edgy little manga at the back too,
Yeah,
which
that's
I'm pretty
great
sure isn't
manga.
canon.
So Audrey, what is the first game in the Zelda series, and
No, the-
what's the last three?
the first one is Skyward Sword. The last three depends on which split you're
Yeah,
going
That's right.
by.
So can you explain that split as explained in this book?
Oh god, so this is what
We
caused
actually-
a huge controversy when it came out, is that everyone
Yeah.
thought there were two splits, right, after Ocarina of Time. It turns out there are three. There's one where, like, the hero is defeated, the one the hero wins, but he
Yeah,
stays,
she
and the one he
doesn't
goes
know,
back
she
in
hasn't
time.
studied.
So basically, right at Ocarina of Time, there's a split. Either Link dies or Link
Yeah, read exactly what
succeeds.
they're called.
So
It's
the
actually
hero is
labeled here.
defeated, the hero is triumphant. okay?
Exactly.
They assume there's two outcomes, even though when you play the game, you win. So
Yeah.
But anyway, which makes a bunch of games sort of this.
So that's
like,
saying
How is this real?
Yeah, I know.
it makes this false reality.
So
to
this
me,
is
but-
saying that Ganon like stomps on Link and a fairy doesn't come out and then a timeline is born. Because
Yeah.
Well, no, because it's like if Link's defeated, then the sages come together and defeat Ganon.
Oh,
which
okay.
for me,
So they defeat him anyway.
For me, that bothered me because it's like, oh, so I'm meaningless to the story.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if I beat
Sort
him
of
or
that
not.
is a little weird.
The story
Yeah.
is meaningless to the story. This is ridiculous.
So
So
from
what
there,
okay.
so from there, if Link is defeated, and this does make sense in this capacity, Link to the Past details this imprisoning war, and Ganon's trapped in the Dark World, and all this stuff, or creates it trapped, and then he creates a Dark World and everything. So that goes in Link to the Past, and it kind of goes into the Oracle games, the original Zelda, and the Adventure of Link.
And
if
Link's
he
Awakening
wins,
between that.
if he defeats Ganon in Ocarina of Time, then it splits from there, and you have the child reality where he's still a kid because he goes back at the end and he's a child.
So do you remember that, Brian? At the end of Ocarina of Time, what the final cutscenes is
sends him back.
actually
he goes
that
back
Link
so
is
he can
young.
live his life as a
Yeah.
child.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I
because
think
he
it's interesting
meets
they put-
Zelda again for the first time in the end of Ocarina of Time because
Yeah.
he's little.
And then
That's
it
the
goes-
ending they show.
and
But
then
they're
it
also
goes on.
saying he stays
Mask,
old.
Majora's
There's another
Mask, Twilight Princess, and Four Swords Adventures are all in one timeline.
Right.
That's the worst timeline.
My favorite part is that, like, if you
Wait,
see...
Majora's Mask?
Nah, I don't like that game.
Wow. Anyway, don't hate on Brian. He's entitled to his opinion.
But you like
Thank you.
Ocarina, though. You like
I
Ocarina.
love
you're not.
every Zelda game.
First of
I'm
all,
not wild about
why
that one.
does
Yeah.
Audrey defend your taste in Zelda games, whereas I bash Skyward Sword just a little bit? I never
'Cause
hear
that's
the end
evil.
of it.
No.
That's, Skyward Sword is like sacred cow to these guys. You have to be careful about that one.
Yes, it's like sacred cow. Anyway, my favorite
It's
thing
like
here
Smooshy.
is that yes, don't mess with Smooshy.
She's already over defending me. As you
That's
can
a
see.
stuffed cow on Audrey's desk
Yeah.
for those who are listening.
Everyone knows Smooshy. Okay, anyway, my favorite part about the timelines, there's a little paragraph right before it where they explain that basically it's all bullshit and they reserve the right to change it at any time. So it's like, thanks,
Really?
guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, this is what we know now, but, facts may come out soon that change these.
Do you remember before we had heard any of this? It was like there was some quote that was like, "Yeah, I have that all on a napkin."
Yeah,
Like, it was,
I
"Yeah, I
remember
have
you
that on
saying
some
that.
piece of paper
Yeah.
or something like that." he
Yeah,
said.
Yeah, here's how they
And nobody believed them, but
Yeah,
maybe
that's
they did.
true,
I don't
yeah.
know.
Here's how they describe the hero's triumphant era, by the way. It's the section of timeline where Link triumphs is further divided into two separate realities. The child era, where Link returns to his original time, and the adult era, where the hero of time disappears and Ganondorf is free to return unopposed.
Wow.
But why does he disappear, and why is Ganon?
Don't know.
Is that the Wind Waker one?
Yeah,
Okay.
that then goes, Ganon is resurrected, Hyrule is sealed and then flooded, Wind Waker, Phantom Hourglass,
Spoiler.
and then Spirit Tracks.
Yeah, I like that timeline.
Yeah.
I really like my Wind Waker
If I
timeline.
had to pick one,
Really?
Actually,
That is the timeline you pick with the
Yeah,
DS
I
games?
For
No.
contemporary
No.
newer games, I think so too.
I pick the one where I pick
I
the
love the
false
DS
reality
games.
where Link dies because then I get
Link to the Past and Link's Awakening,
Okay,
the
yeah,
original
I'm voting,
game.
I'm voting on that one then.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you like the
Change
original
your
game a
mind
lot.
now.
Those are my three favorite Zeldas right
Yeah,
there.
for sure.
It's funny
Yeah.
because if you
weird.
listen to the story in A Link to the Past, it says that the sages were the one that sealed up Ganon, and so you're like, oh, that's
Afterwards,
that's
it says,
what happened.
"Oh, by the way, this is all bullshit on a napkin."
Yeah.
That's
You
a-
wait
that's
till
a
the
credit.
Are
credits.
you saying that's what it says in Link to the
No.
Past? It says Ganon was sealed away in the
by the sages.
by
That's
the
why
sage-
they're looking
okay.
for the
He gets
daughters
sealed
of the
into
sages.
the sacred realm and then
exactly.
corrupted.
Because I remember when they were explaining when Link to the Past came out, they're like, "Oh, those first two Zelda games take place long after this," which I thought was a cool idea
It
to
was a
begin
prequel.
with.
That was the
Like,
first
that was
time
a
that
prequel.
it,
So the NES Zelda, the original, is the last game.
no.
No.
Adventure of
Sure.
Link is after
Link,
that.
yeah.
Oh,
They
okay.
established that right away.
Okay.
Because Adventure of Link.
It is the same Link,
Hopefully,
too.
I don't have to say spoilers, but Ganon's dead in Adventure of Link, and they're trying to resurrect Ganon in
Yeah.
Adventure of Link.
And Link learned how to jump.
Yeah, here's
Yes.
that thing that Audrey referenced. This chronicle merely collects information that is believed to be true at this time, and there are many obscured and unanswered secrets that still lie within the tale. As the stories and storytellers of Hyrule change, so too does its history. Hyrule's history is continuously woven tapestry of events, changes that seem inconsequential, disregarded without a shrug, could evolve at some point to hatch new legends and perhaps change this tapestry of history itself. That's a really
So this
fancy
is
way of saying that none of
meaningless.
this matters.
To me, like, did you guys ever watch Three Stooges?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you know how on the Three
this should be
Stooges,
interesting.
So
Yeah, I
violent.
want to hear this.
every single episode they have like a different job and they live in a different place,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they never have to explain why. They're
It's
just
like
like,
The Simpsons.
oh, we're
Yeah,
firemen
everything
today.
resets
It's like
at
The
the
Simpsons
end.
for the
Exactly.
most part. Unless
That's the way I always
Yeah.
saw Zelda, where it's like, there's a hero in time and he wears this green thing and he fights monsters
Yeah.
and puts
I
the
think the
arrow
only
in the
time
guy's
I
eye.
really
That's
started
it.
to think about it was with Minish Cap, where it's like, okay, this is clearly the first. Well, it was the first.
They
in the
told they
series.
Yeah.
said at the
'Cause that was
time like
before
this is
it was
the,
called the high,
Yeah.
the Master Sword, all of that.
that was like part of its appeal. was,
Everyone
like,
said
this is
I was
part of-
crazy for saying that was
You know-
the first. Screw you guys, I was right.
No, they said at the time it was like this is the earliest one because this is how Link got his hat and his costume.
Yeah,
This is-
people are
this is the
arguing
weird thing
about
about-
it.
Yeah.
That's weird.
This is the weird thing about all this. I agree with Brian. Like, I kind of preferred, for the most part, these existing just in their own little spaces, with maybe a couple of them being related at a time, because some are clearly tied together.
Yeah, well, like
Um,
Ocarina and A Link to the Past.
Yeah.
But I never saw the need to like try and string them all together into
Yeah.
one coherent thread. I was fine with like there are different links,
Yeah.
And some of these stories
And
contain
Four
the same
Swords
link.
doesn't matter. That's what
Yeah,
I was
like
fine with.
clearly, Wind Waker and Phantom Hourglass take place right
I
after
will
each
note
other.
that
Like,
they
that
didn't-
makes sense, but
They didn't try to figure out where Link's crossbow training goes in this
No.
continuity, and I am just pissed.
Well,
I know that's messed up.
And they mention there's a page in there that mentions like weird Zeldas, and like it actually mentions like Zelda BS, which is was the Satellaview version
Yeah,
of
they did
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
Super Nintendo remake of the first Zelda,
Where
which is really
are
cool.
those?
But
in this story, our
CGI
hero
ones.
finds a satellite.
And like, I thought
So
they were
dumb.
gonna go as far as to like mention at least
the
the
cartoon?
CDI ones and like put some art in there and mention
Yeah.
the cartoon. So I know that like maybe there's some rights stuff with that, but I wish like in a Zelda book they would at least just be like these exist because it's just cool.
Yeah, there should be like an oops page.
I don't care how stupid they
It's like,
are. Yeah,
we
I think they're cool if they
I really
exist.
want to
Sure.
know.
I want to see like also old merchandise. I love old Zelda merchandise.
Oh,
I
yeah.
wish
They
there
have
was
a
like a
little bit of
page of
them
that.
there, but
They
not
do
a
have a little.
lot,
Yeah,
yeah.
they do.
There's
one
just
page
some
of it.
great stuff in here. I mean, anyway, so Hyrule Story is out. There's 2 editions. Is one of them soft cover or is it?
It's coming out after this one sells
Okay.
out. This is limited edition.
Yeah.
Just
Like,
get
it-
this one.
yeah.
Don't bother with that.
Yeah,
soft
if you want to
cover
get the
garbage.
pretty version, jump on it now because
It was
it's
the
hard to
best
find
selling-
for
already.
US
best-selling book on
people-
Amazon
Yeah,
this week.
exactly.
For US people, it's on Amazon for
It's
super cheap.
like $20
It's
on
20
Amazon,
bucks,
which is almost half of the MSRP. So
good.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's really good. Any Zelda fan should own it. I mean, any Zelda fan should probably own the Japanese
Just
version
for-
too. But now you can read it.
And
so
just for
that's-
Nintendo to like open their archives and like show any development of like
Mm-hmm.
any type of game has been like a new thing that they're doing more and more with a lot of ass and stuff, and it's always great. And I would just like a book of a lot of ass stuff, you know, like
Oh, that'd
they
be
show
cool.
off
Yeah,
great
totally.
concept art, but that's what this is like. It's like wow, this is
that's
behind the
funny
scenes
thing
of my favorite games.
Nintendo is so walled off that when they finally let us in there, like it's just this fascinating. It's like going into seeing how toys are made or something
Yeah.
like that, where you're like,
Yeah.
wow, this is how this
It is how
happens.
toys are made.
Yeah, exactly. But
And dreams.
I'm just happy it came out because for a long time, I mean, this book came out over a year ago in Japan, and there was just no sign of it, even as late as last summer. And then finally, we heard that it was coming. Kudos to Dark Horse for actually bringing it out.
Oh, it's the comic
Dark
book
Horse
company.
is great at
Yeah.
bringing out things that people don't want to bring
They're also
out.
putting out Art of Bioshock
It's not saying
Infinite.
much about Dark Horse's comic book stable.
No, they're great. They Dark Horse also does all the Star Wars comic books.
Not anymore.
Yeah, true. With Marvel, who knows? But it's really cool. They're also doing Bioshock Infinite, the art book for that. Yeah, great for them. And it's actually probably will rank as one of the best-selling books of the year in the comic book industry because the scale for comic books is so low.
Yeah,
that, like,
yeah.
this
Well, I mean,
is
it was number one when it
music's
first
good.
went on sale,
This is
and
already-
then the day it came out, it went number one again.
Yeah, so it's huge. Go get it if you haven't. Really good stuff. Anyway,
The score is really nice in this. It sounds
Yeah.
like,
The
uh,
score
Oh,
is-
the
it
music
sounds
is
like,
gorgeous.
it's great.
it sounds like Lord of the Rings a little bit.
One other thing, you guys aren't hearing it in what's going on here, but all the little characters have little like woo and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And you can actually,
Crom.
but this is the thing, you can
Yeah.
turn that off because it was
Gods.
annoying the hell out
Oh,
of me.
you
and
turned
I
it
was just
off?
like,
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
know.
So that way you don't. Have
It's
to
funny
listen.
because
I
Rich
like
was complaining about it, and I was like, dude,
What?
turn it off.
Yeah, you just turn it
They
right
have
off.
like the little Japanese emotions too. They're
Yeah,
like,
but if you turn, you can also choose to turn that off and or the voices in the cutscenes too. So you can completely customize how much of those voices you hear, and you can put it in Japanese or English, which is amazing. Most
Yeah,
games.
I have this weird glitch
don't
where
do
like
that.
my cutscenes are in Japanese, but then the little and Crom and all that stuff is in English, and I don't know.
That's
what
also
happened.
Japanese. You just don't know Japanese.
Well, because what's annoying is they'll sometimes be like, "Really," and
Yeah.
the best part
Say it
is
over
the best part is when they're like, they'll say one word, but the VO does a different word. So someone will be like, understood, and the VO will be like, agreed. And you're
Roger that.
Like,
what?
wait a minute,
Yeah,
which
you're like,
one
I don't
was
know.
it?
Yeah.
It's silly.
So.
I kind of like it. So
News
there's
time.
a couple other little news bits besides what we've talked about so far, and one really cool one that I'd like to point out is that Smash Brothers Melee is going to be an Evo
That's
cool.
amazing.
competition
Yeah.
title this year.
That's
And Evo
awesome.
is the world's biggest fighting game competition. It's never had anything like Smash Brothers. It's like Street Fighter 4, Marvel vs. Capcom. This is the type of
real,
games that they do. Street
like,
Fighter Cross
Guarantee
Tekken.
Guarantee you, it'll be no items, Sam.
Yep.
Yeah,
Guarantee
well, we
you.
don't know yet. But
I
basically,
guarantee
they did a fundraiser.
They need to do a fundraiser on items versus no items.
Yeah, and
Sad,
and as part of that, a game was decided to add to the roster, and it got settled on Melee, which is the GameCube Smash Brothers,
Yeah.
which is just really
We will
cool.
say-
That would be fun to watch.
Well,
Yeah,
like
I'd
pros
love to
playing
watch that. Yeah.
this at Evo is going to be a good
There is a-
thing.
there
So
is a
we'll
slight
cover that at IGN, by the way.
Yeah, there is a slight disclaimer on that, which is they have to like verify the fundraising or something like that, and it's sort of like it made it. It is number one. It should be added as the 8th game to Evo. There is still a little more like technical whatever, but
I can't wait
it
to see that.
basically did it.
They're going to have trouble finding enough GameCubes to go.
Yeah. Well, you might put it on a
They
Wii.
can
I
do it on
guess
Wii,
put
yeah.
it on Wii's and then just plug in.
Memory cards.
Yeah.
It's all complex.
Yeah, it is a little complex.
But you know what? The GameCube has a handle, so everybody can bring it.
That's
easily.
true. That'd be embarrassing if they booted it up and they didn't have the full
I don't know that
unlocked.
you'd have trouble finding GameCube.
No, you wouldn't. I was just
GameStop
making a
sells them
joke
for like
about
$30,
that.
I think. You know,
$30.
I think so.
That's your Wind Waker ticket right there.
There you go.
Yeah.
Coming out in HD soon, though.
Yeah.
No, I can't wait. I'm just so excited.
Yeah.
Every time I forget about that, I remember.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
gonna be great.
Should we
Stop forgetting about it.
I will.
What's up?
Moving on, we had a kind of quarterly investor report, which sounds boring, but as part of that, we get a bunch of behind-the-scenes Nintendo news.
Yeah, you get
and
little bits.
there's some cool stuff in there, like Rich and I were talking about earlier. I think the big points of interest are that there's not going to be a price drop for the Wii U.
Yeah, Iwata is like emphasizing like this is not happening. Our goal is to make sure people understand why Wii U is important, why Wii U has games coming up. That this is why they did that thing last week where they're like, here's all of these games.
Well,
Yeah.
and the only reason people would expect a price drop is for a couple of reasons. One is that 3DS got it about now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But
But
3DS
another
was doing much worse than the Wii U. It's like the Wii U
Yeah.
hasn't met their expected sales numbers, but it's still.
Well, the
it's still
3DS was what,
fairly well.
7 months after?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's been
7 months.
it's
and they
been
were
2 months.
still
there could always
not
be a
doing
reaction
well.
to console information
Yeah, I
from
mean,
Xbox and
this is
and
the thing is
PlayStation.
all this is subject to change. I mean, in 5 months, like you said, Nintendo could decide to do it. Obviously.
Yeah.
So
Well, we
another
said for right now.
They're
like,
really
didn't say
struggling
never.
right now because they have no freaking games coming out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's just obviously a problem.
He said
so-
something like, "We need to
fix it.
make it more apparent how good the system
Yeah, I
is."
mean, we've
for
all-
people
Yeah,
to
I think
know.
one of the things they talked about was struggling just in getting the people to identify the brand. I
Yeah.
think that they're still struggling there. And people like us, we get it, and we think people are stupid for not understanding that this is the Wii 2, but they didn't call
I
it
would
that.
love
so.
to see some
They don't listen to this
numbers for
podcast.
how many kids got a Wii when they asked for a Wii U on
Sure,
Christmas.
yeah.
I would
mean,
love to hear that
I
number.
think all it really takes is
That's so
just they
sad.
need some
Yeah, I know.
really smart and really ham-fisted marketing to just say, this is what this thing is, it's new, and it has these games, and you can play them now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So another cool thing that came out of that report was that Nintendo has been seeing a lack of third-party support already for the Wii U in America
Yeah.
3DS.
and 3DS. Yeah, but so what they're going to do to counteract that is help Japanese games get localized. So
Yep.
we win.
Basically,
Yes.
We're
basically
going to get a bunch of great Japanese games. Like remember last cycle we had Xenoblade and stuff like that.
We
Like
just
it was
heard
all in
that,
limbo.
like,
Hopefully
Project
that means that
Crosszone's
we'll get more
coming,
stuff
stuff.
coming here.
Yeah,
Project
I mean,
Crosszone.
this is
X.
basically what they're seeing is that Japan, the 3DS in particular, has just dominated. It just took off. And,
Yeah.
and they have Monster Hunter and have all these things.
But Apple will crush
Over here, when you look,
Nintendo.
yeah, well, you look at companies like EA and some of these groups, and they're not supporting Wii U, but they're also not supporting the 3DS, so there's not. And so Iwata's solution is basically like, look, if you won't bring your third-party games from Japan over, because we've been seeing like a lot of lag there, like we don't know about Bravely Default. Crosszone finally got announced, but for a long time we didn't know about that. And
We
there
don't
are
need
other
a game
games.
called Bravely Default Flying Fairy here. We don't
I
need
do
that
kinda
game.
need that game.
Honestly, Cut Off. The game is amazing.
Yeah, the game looks
but
cool.
honestly, Cut Off Flying Fairy, and you have a perfectly sort of
Perfectly
logical-
similarly meaningless name.
It is
Bravely
weird.
Default. Yeah, the
Well,
kids are going to run out and buy that one.
Actually, you know what's funny is that the
I
title.
like Bravely Asphalt better.
they directly correspond to the gameplay mechanics, which is weird.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, you
anyway,
just
the
have to be
game
brave
the
or
game
They
Default.
directly correspond to how much it sucks to be a dad in Toys R Us.
Yeah.
Not getting them this flying
My
fairy
boy
game.
wants a
What?
game called Flying
Bravely
Fairy.
Default.
I'm just gonna get him a football, whatever.
Just gonna get him a Wii.
Actually, you know what's funny is
It's
that
got Call of Duty on it.
everyone thought that Bravely Default was coming here when they trademarked all the Bravest, but that turned out to be that horrible iOS game. So
Yeah.
Nintendo
Sad,
should
sad.
also
That's-
localize some American games for their Wii U, like Tomb Raider,
That would be
Yeah,
nice.
that's
Bioshock.
that's a whole other thing because Madden
Yeah.
25 just got announced and there's no.
Yeah,
Wii
that's
U.
another little
Yeah.
tidbit. Is that but so Madden wasn't announced for anything but PS3 and Xbox, and it's called Madden 25, which is funny.
Yeah, they're getting away
But
from
that, we know it's going to come to probably the next gens if they're out when Madden comes
assume
out,
so.
and we know it'll come to PC. Maybe I don't know. They just didn't announce it for anything but those two. I don't know why.
Yeah,
For whatever reason, it's weird. But I wish Wii U would have been at least part of that.
yeah.
Yeah.
But nobody wants to play Madden on Wii U anyway.
I
from
think
what
sometimes
understand,
what happens
because
in
it
the-
doesn't sell.
I think Nintendo sometimes likes to pull some of these announcements into their own stuff, and this is not
Maybe.
confirmation. This is not confirmation of anything, but like just one theory, maybe a glimmer of hope, is that Iwata even mentioned that they want to do a very third-party focused Wii U presentation at some point.
I want to
Sure.
see him talk
I
about
wouldn't
football
be-
in that white background.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're gonna
well,
do
I
a
wouldn't-
direct for 3DS
They're
and for third
bringing-
parties.
I wouldn't
Madden
be surprised to see that
25.
get pulled in there. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Honestly, someone like Reggie would probably present that one.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. I have no idea, but that could be.
Like, hello,
part of
white
it.
people.
So, final order of business is a little thing happened yesterday, and we caught us all off guard, and we got a little video in the mail which said that there's something happening on February 20th.
Oh, okay.
I was like,
So
what are you
confused.
talking about? I was like, what happened?
I know, because it's not Nintendo news necessarily,
Honestly,
but
I
it will
knew it.
Yeah.
impact Nintendo, and
This
it's
was
a big
coming, I
deal.
knew
The
that.
PS4 is going to probably be announced that day.
I already
Yeah.
suspected this was happening. Yeah, it's
So they're absolute total liars when they said they'd let Xbox go first a couple weeks ago.
yeah,
I thought that was very sweet of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did they
I
say
was
that?
like,
Thanks,
dude,
guys.
Yeah,
Literally
Really?
a couple
Yeah.
weeks ago.
What did they say?
That they're going to let
They
Xbox
said
go
that's just
first.
what they said.
They
Literally.
literally said we're going to
So we
let
can
Microsoft make their next gen announcement first.
Do they know that maybe that's going to happen first?
Unless
It's
they
not.
announce it in the next 2 weeks, I doubt
It's
it.
not.
Yeah.
It could be.
It's
Do you think this caused Nintendo or forced Nintendo's hand with that recent thing
I
where
don't
they announced
think
all
so.
those
Nintendo
games?
No.
does its own
fiscal
thing.
Yeah.
report.
But they
fiscal
would have
report
known, I
caused that.
bet.
Yeah.
Fiscal report caused the.
Yeah.
Fiscal report.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I think it's
What I'm referring to, by the way, is that Nintendo announced, all
the
those
direct
Yeah.
last
HD
week.
those
Zeldas.
games. Yeah.
this is just
Fire
going to be
Emblem Rush and
yet
Megaman.
again another generation where you'll be playing your 360 games and PS3 games and PS4 720 or whatever, and then when you want to play Nintendo games, you'll turn on your Wii U.
Yeah,
And that's just the way it's
honestly
always
what
been.
it's for. Like, you go
Yeah.
to those systems for a certain thing, and you go to your Nintendo system for the Nintendo
Yep.
franchises and for the games that come to those.
And then we had that
There's a
story with
place for
Tomb
both
Raider
of
where they're
them.
like, we tried to make it, but we couldn't come up with anything for the controller. It was like, well,
like-
then stop designing games because
Be more creative.
That's
if you
stupid. That
couldn't
game
get
has a
over that
map.
hurdle, like
I couldn't figure
I'm
out how to
sorry.
put the map on the screen.
Look,
It was
Yeah,
weird.
go back
Well.
to Full Sail or whatever.
That's sad.
No, seriously, that's pathetic.
Well,
It
here's
really
the honest
is.
truth, and like honestly,
I could have written the feature like, 5 things to do with this controller and sent it to them.
I don't
That'd be
even
fun.
buy
Or
their
Or don't
excuse.
do anything.
Yeah.
Just leave the
Or
controller
just leave it.
blank. Yeah.
I don't buy their excuse. Like it's a ludicrous excuse. Really, what the excuse is that people allocate budgets years and years in advance. They develop on certain cycles years and years in advance, and
Yeah.
here comes this weird console that Nintendo probably wasn't telling them a whole lot about.
Nope. They
And
probably didn't
so-
have a dev kit or
Yeah,
anything
they
like
probably
that.
didn't have a lot of
This is not-
information. And are you going to like disrupt your multi-million-dollar development project to try and add in another console that probably won't have a whole lot of people? It's only 3 million worldwide.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
just
know-
say, oops, we forgot, rather than,
Don't even
our
say
team of brilliant game designers had
Or
a
just say,
temporary
I don't
brain
wanna.
fart.
I'll
Don't even
respect that
say
more.
I
Yeah,
forgot.
sure.
Just
Yeah.
say it didn't fit within our established development
Sure.
cycle.
But that's happened with other stuff, right? Because I think that there was something about BioShock and Wii U also, right?
That's
Where
the
they were just
thing.
like, we never planned for it.
yeah, that's the thing is like that was going to happen. Nintendo came out
But it
early
sucks.
enough.
I mean, it doesn't mean it's
No,
not bad. Like,
Absolutely,
it's terrible.
It's
Yeah.
not great, and I think that there is a lot of blame that can go at Nintendo for doing this. I mean, had they wanted to make sure,
But they did get
So-
Assassin's
For me-
Creed
So
and Batman. stuff like
spoilers,
that.
guys, but
Yeah.
Tomb Raider has a map when you hit the pause button.
Ah.
There's an idea.
Yeah.
We could plant a little tree there. How about
Brian's
that?
gonna leave us soon for game development.
But
Yeah,
if you
exactly.
if you look at games like Assassin's Creed and even Epic Mickey or all these other Wii U games, they had to go and get an entirely a separate team of another
Sure.
2 dozen guys to go make this version, to port it over, make
Mm-hmm.
sure it's working right. So it's a lot of money, and if you're it's hard to develop in this gen. And
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, after launch, we have had so little other third-party announcements that I'm like, now I'm like at the beginning I was like, man, they got everything, and it's like, wow, now they have
Well,
nothing.
yeah.
Like, why is there no
For me, I
third
don't
parties?
see why-
that just comes down to I think, I mean, who knows, there could be a lot of reasons for this. It comes down to Nintendo not talking to people. I think that's just really it. They came at a strange time. Everyone is gearing up for the next Sony Microsoft stuff at the end of the year, or give or take, and they're finishing up this gen now, and Wii U sort of doesn't fit into those
It's
boxes.
caught
And,
caught between worlds,
And I
basically.
say this all the time, but people forget that's how modern launches are. Remember the PS3? How many
That too.
years was it before that had a library? It
No,
takes time.
but
for
Wii
these
U
things
had
to
a
build
great
up a
library at launch, though. I think it's like kind of different, and just in that, I think the Wii U had a great stable, but now it has to build
Now
up.
it's
Like, it
slowed.
didn't snowball exactly.
yeah.
It kind
But
of
yeah,
like
I-
the snow fort melted.
I completely agree with you, Audrey. If you look back at some of the comments people were making after the 360 launch, which went on to become the most beloved console of all
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
we were
Well,
sitting there for 2
I don't
months
want to
going,
play Cameo for the next 6 months.
Nobody did.
I thought the 360 and PS3 were worthless for their first year
Yeah.
or two of
Yeah.
existence. I was just like, this is silly, and I was I forget why, but I was doing some research on the 360 sort of evolution of its operating system, and just like user interface, and it was terrible. At
Oh
the
yeah, it was
beginning.
awful.
The blades?
The blades.
Yeah.
It's terrible now.
Yeah,
It's
it's
terrible
terrible
now.
now.
They
The
had a
last-
great,
but when it
great
launched-
thing going,
I
and
mean,
now
go
it's
back
terrible.
and look at Halo 3. That game looks shitty now. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It takes time for people to learn how to best use the system, how to make the most out of it.
Here's the question: is like, will they? Will they take that time? And that's sort of
Nintendo
the big
will.
question.
And that's up to each
Nintendo
developer.
will, for
Nintendo is
sure.
going to make some great HD games.
And I mean, this is another thing that emerged in the financial report, and they briefly mentioned it in the Nintendo Direct. Is their thought process is now, not all developers are just flocking to us, so we're going to go to them. We're going to make certain partnerships, find certain things we can collaborate on. That's why, and it sounds weird, but Shin Megami Fire Emblem exists. And they say there are more in the works. So, and I hope not all of them are crossovers. I wouldn't mind seeing like Nintendo and Capcom collaborate on some new IP.
I love the new crossover thing. I think
I
it's
like
so
the
cool.
idea.
Did we talk about that on the last podcast? I can't remember.
Yeah, we talked about it, a whole
Yeah.
bunch of stuff on the last one. But it's also like the Namco team developing Smash Brothers, stuff like that. Finding other teams.
A little worried about that.
That's a clever way to
Yeah,
use
we'll see.
other talent to, further their own franchises.
Yeah, and I mean,
As much as I want Pac-Man to be in it.
No,
God, no,
please.
we don't.
Anthropomorphic Pac-Man
How
freaks
about-
me out.
How about just
okay?
Blinky?
Okay.
Yeah, that would be okay.
What about if it's all four
That's a
ghosts and it's
compromise.
like they're just like kind of like
You play
in a
like
big
Ice
cloud,
Climber.
a
Fixer
ghost
or
cloud?
something?
Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
So yeah, I mean that's I like that idea. They also sort of alluded in the financial report that they're going to be showing some stuff at GDC or talking about more developer opportunities at GDC. We know that they're becoming more flexible with the eShop. They're almost like Steam now. They licensed Unity, which is this very versatile, powerful engine that a lot of indie developers use. So in a weird way, we could see like this, unique collaborations, Nintendo games, and a ton of indie games
Yeah.
on Wii U, and that could actually be kind of a cool idea.
I think they just need a couple of those core titles, and they need a couple, like put out a Nintendogs and get all the casuals going. Well, this is great. I can pet my
They do
dog
have a
on my
Brain
TV now.
Age coming out.
Speaking of which,
this
yeah,
month,
I can't
so-
believe that there's another Brain Age
haven't
coming
even
out. Like
we don't have it either. So and it comes out
It's too bad because
hypothetically
here
in a
it's
week.
called something lame like concentration training, but in Japan it's called like demon
Devil
training.
Yeah.
Which one would you buy? Come on.
Actually, I saw the 3DS demo, and they have that dude, and he's like a Satan
He's
now.
like, okay, I'm gonna turn into a devil
And
now.
he
I
was
saw a
like,
screenshot of that
booted
like
up.
years ago. I loved it. It was like Kawashima as a demon.
How'd you do, by the way?
love
Oh,
that.
I downloaded the demo, and it goes, today we're going to do some math. And I'm like, shh.
Oh,
And then it goes, well, so we're going to ask you a question, and then you're going to answer it, but it's not the answer to that question.
like
It's the
two
question
answers
to the
back.
next question is actually the answer from the other. And I was like, fuck you. How did you make math worse? I've never been so mad. I just closed my 3DS as hard as possible.
Did
I
you
was
guys-
like, you damn devil, leave me alone.
Did you guys ever get into the original brain training? Like when the hype hit?
I did until
I
it
was huge
stopped
into it.
recognizing and I was like, blue,
Yeah.
brew,
Brew.
brew.
It never understood
Blue.
It never understood when I was writing a
And I was like,
five,
nope,
so it's
you're
like,
an
screw
idiot.
you guys.
I was like, no.
I liked Big Brain Academy. That
Yeah.
was good.
It's funny to think about that era and like how those were such mainstream things
Yep.
and those sold the DS.
Yeah.
Like how weird is that a brain training game and then everybody made brain training
I
games
mean, there are
for 3
grandmas all over
years.
the place with DSs and still brain
Yeah.
training, probably.
It's just such a funny
I
fact.
don't know if I told the story. It completely blew my mind. I was home for over the Christmas break, and I was meeting some of my girlfriend's like extended family, and her aunt was like, she pulled out an original DS,
No.
Oh,
like
wow.
the
The big
like
fat
the big
one?
fat one, and she's just, and I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, just doing my daily brain training. And I'm like, still?
Wow.
And she's like, yep, doing it about 3 years now, 3 or 4 years. I'm
That's
like,
awesome.
holy crap! Like she logs in
After
every
that,
single
was
day.
she like, do you want to know the capitals of every country?
Well, here's the thing: is like, especially when I've been in Japan the last couple of years, but also just around here every now and then, much more in Japan, you still see those DSs
Yeah.
everywhere.
That's crazy.
To
To me, it's like when you see somebody on the train with like a flip phone, and you're like, oh.
That's so cute.
I had a flip
so-
phone
feel so
until
bad for
exactly a
you.
year ago.
So I mean, what do you guys think about
great.
next gen? Like, I mean, Sony's about to. I mean, unless they are
I'm so
horribly teasing us.
I'm so weirded out about like this fall is going to be bizarre because there's so many good games still coming out for old systems.
Yeah, we just found out
We
GTA
don't-
got delayed into
GTA in
September.
September. Which could be next gen. We don't really know. We don't know if we can play our old games on those new systems. We
Probably
don't know
can't.
if there's backwards
That's the big
compatibility.
thing that would
Yeah.
bother me. Like,
And
great,
the
I have
Wii
to
U-
leave my PS3 plugged in.
Yeah.
Well,
Thanks.
that's
Wii
the
U's
thing.
gonna have something huge, too.
You know,
It's gonna be a weird fall.
I came in this morning discussing this because like I run our features team, and I was like, "There's got to be a conversation we can have here," and I guess we can have part of it right here. But I was sort of saying, "Yeah, hijacking your show."
Woo.
I was sort of
That's
saying
fine.
like, "This is the first time ever where we have these perfectly working, wonderful, still good consoles connected to my television right now, and I'm gonna be like, nope,
And
taking
spend
you out."
$800 to get a new
Yeah,
one.
I'm gonna buy a PS4 and take out my PS3 and put it where?
This has been
Because I'm not going to hook it up on my TV.
And
It's
it's
3 HDMI
35
ports.
pounds.
Thing. It's not like Wii U
Yeah.
where like the Wii needed to come up to the HD generation and the
Exactly.
tablets adding
Like when the
something
Wii U
new.
came out, I was like, yes, because my Wii had been dead for a year. Like I wasn't playing
Exactly.
anything
That was
on
time
it.
for like here's like they've just now figured out how to make the very most of the PS3 or the Xbox.
Like when I did the
That's
Wii
true.
to Wii U system
You know?
transfer and I had to turn on my Wii, I was like, oh man, this is like a ghetto over here.
Yeah.
This is old. It feels gross. Like I don't even want to touch this
Yeah.
shit.
It's so crucial right now to have the 60 gigabyte PS3, which plays PS2 games and PS1 games.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have that, then you have no like. That's what's so cool about that PS3 that they stopped doing. If you didn't know,
time ago, yeah.
none of the PS3s now are backwards compatible.
Yeah.
But if you have that,
Ugly.
you can play upscaled PS2 games and
Yeah.
PS1 games.
Right. So
Still, so you can keep it for that.
I'm gonna buy The Last of Us in May because it looks amazing
Yeah.
and it's one of the best looking video games of all time. But I'm gonna be sitting there the whole time going, man, what is this old crap I'm playing? I can't wait.
I
to
already
new
feel
systems
that
come
way.
out.
It's so funny. I got a new TV this week and I freaking love it. And I was
Yeah.
like, what am I gonna do? So I started watching like Lord of the Rings on Blu-ray. I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And then it's like I was like, what game is gonna show off like something great? I'm like, all these games are like, they're working on better graphics right now. Like Far Cry. This is stupid now.
Yeah.
Because I just know there's something great like around the corner.
Yeah.
Like whatever they're doing now, it's like I can see the textures there don't look that good.
Yeah, it's just like
that. But there are
nitpicking,
games
though.
that do look amazing right
I
now.
know.
It's
We're like,
I'm just
nope,
nitpicking.
not good enough. Get them out the door. Throw them in the trash. We need new consoles connected to our television.
I mean, that's the weird thing is like I don't know when 360 showed up and when PS3 showed up. From my recollection, like for the most part, I think we were kind of ready. We were
Yeah.
like, okay, this time it feels
we were
like.
totally ready. The jump between Xbox and Xbox 360 was
Yeah.
like,
and they cut it off
huge, yeah.
prematurely
Yeah.
too. They cut it off after 4 years. But the weird thing to me is that like this time around, we're still getting quite good games. I mean, there's going to be a lull probably in June, and there's going to be in July probably. But like, you know, we're getting like Splinter Cell in
Yeah.
August. We're getting GTA in September.
Gears of War, Last of Us. Like
yeah.
there are a bunch of AAA
And this-
titles coming out
and this
this
is not
year.
counting all the crap that I still haven't fully played already. And then what am I supposed to do? Go
What
switch
are
over
you
to a
going to do if
system?
you buy GTA for your PS3 this September and it doesn't work on your
It's
PS4
gonna be
this
so weird.
October?
I mean, I would not be surprised to see a bunch of games.
Downloadable
Be
stuff
on
will probably
both.
work.
I think they'll be on both.
Sure.
I just
Yeah,
think
that's
that's
what
going to
I
be.
guess.
But then that's going to be weird, right?
They had that for 360 a lot.
Sure.
I remember
and
that.
I
it
mean,
was
like,
on both,
and
both
that was
those.
why I didn't care about a lot of stuff. Like, or how excited are you going to be when you go buy your PS4 and you're like, oh, I can buy the same things on the system that I already own.
Exactly.
Yeah, for $800 less.
You know,
how
It'll be
much?
like the N64 expansion pack. There'll
And
be like 12 more characters on screen.
And I'm sure the Sony Defense Force is going to show up right now and be like, well, what are you saying? Are you saying we use better? And I'm like, no, I'm just saying specific to analyzing whether I care about a PS4 or a new Xbox. Like, if more or less what I can get on it is
Yeah.
just ports of what I can already get on the system I already own, and I can play all those other games that I like playing that I haven't played yet.
Rich, your entire last sentence was a whole argument against the Wii U's launch.
No, well, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. No, but I mean,
yeah.
some people this morning were just like naturally assuming that you'll be able to play PS3 games on your PS4. Why would you assume that?
Yeah.
Oh God, Scott Lowe's staring at us.
I bet he has the room booked
Frightening.
at 2.
Scott Lowe thinks things, and we say,
Hi,
get
Scott
out. Hi. Yeah, we're almost done. Let's do your tech
talking about
fetish
some sort
now.
of fetish
All right,
that's
so
creeping
welcome
me
to
out.
Tech Fetish. I'm Scott
Fresco,
Lowe.
fresco, fresco, fresco. Fresco, fresco motorcycles.
Yay! Yeah, I don't know. All right, we'll be talking more about next gen stuff.
Yeah,
'cause,
absolutely.
I mean,
No, I figure we covered it all right now.
Yeah.
I think we should do a podcast, like an MVC in like 3 weeks.
Yeah,
that's
we
like
should do a
called
podcast.
Mocking Sony. And just
Let's not.
Let's
No.
not.
Well, actually,
do that.
that's
Just
one
be
one
mean
quick
back
thing.
to
Their
us.
controller's supposed to have touch.
Mm-hmm.
Rumor.
And a share
Oh.
button.
They
Yeah.
got the idea from the move, guys. It's, you know.
Anyway.
Yep.
Cool.
All right. So thanks for listening to another Super NVC. You can write us at nvc@ign.com or follow us on our various Twitters.
to do reader questions one of these days.
And we'll do reader questions
should.
next
Maybe
time.
next time.
Yeah.
Next
But
time.
we do need to get out of here now so I can eat pizza.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thanks for coming in, guys, and
Yep.
talk to you soon.
Bye,
See ya.
Googlings.
Bye.